Hi, my name is Marcus Cupola, and I'm a registered psychotherapist. You might remember me from such suicide-related videos as Stop, Drop, and Roll, and Only You Can Prevent Karens. With the holiday season coming up fast, and 2020 being a very bad year for a lot of people for a lot of reasons, I actually wanted to talk about suicide today, and two things in particular. I wanted to talk about talking to somebody who has or may have thoughts of suicide, and I want to talk about what happens if you have thoughts of suicide. So to start off with talking to people about suicide, there are a few myths that sort of get in the way of just trying to reach out and be there for somebody. So the first one is that talking about it will give them the idea. We're afraid that if we mention it, we'll give them the idea like they're going through something terrible, but they hadn't thought of that. So as soon as we ask, are you having thoughts of suicide? We're afraid that they'll go, suicide? That's a great idea. Not quite to that extent, but that's what we worry about. So I want to dispel that myth. That is not the case. So when somebody is depressed, or if they are feeling suicidal, or they're just really, really down, you asking about it will never give them the idea. They will have already thought about it or not. And if you ask about it and you say, hey, are you having thoughts of suicide? Even if they're super depressed, but not having thoughts of suicide, they'll tell you, no, I don't have thoughts of suicide. The next thing that I want to talk about is the idea that I have to do something, right? This myth that because I now know somebody has thoughts of suicide, I have to do something about it. I have to fix it. And this is not the case. When somebody has thoughts of suicide, for the most part, they just need somebody to listen. They need to feel heard. And when they're telling you that they have thoughts of suicide, they're not giving you responsibility for their problem or problems, whatever it is. What they're seeking is to reach out. They want somebody to hear them. They want to know that they're not alone. They want to know that it can be okay. They want to know that things will get better. And sometimes they just want somebody to tell them that they're not making it up, that it's okay. It makes sense that you would feel this way. If someone is telling you that they have thoughts of suicide, you do not have to fix the problem. When someone tells us that, we often feel responsible, not just for solving the problem, but now this person's life is in my care. I'm responsible for it. This is also not the case. If someone does choose to complete suicide, they are responsible for themselves, their behavior, and their actions. And it's a terrible tragedy that too many families go through. But at no time is another person responsible for the person who completes suicide. Right? You are only responsible for yourself. If there's any responsibility in there, you're just responsible for trying to be a good friend and listen. But don't try and solve the problem, because when we do that, it's like saying, I know better than you. I know about your problems better. Here's what you should do. And that can be invalidating. And the same thing can happen when we try to take responsibility for somebody else. It's all right, well, your life is mine, so I will now decide how to fix your problems, or I will decide how to save it. And ultimately, we can only ever really control ourselves. So you as the listener, you're not responsible for somebody else. You don't have to fix their problem. And asking about it won't give them the idea. Moving on to the second piece. What if you have thoughts of suicide? Well, I want to start off by saying it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. You don't have to be perfect. Sometimes life sucks. It's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to talk about having thoughts of suicide. Now, it's understandable those around you might not know how to respond to you or what to say. So you can reach out to, for example, a crisis or a suicide hotline. You could reach out to a therapist such as myself who is trained to handle thoughts of suicide and self-harm. You can also help other people to respond to you. This is something that actually is very beneficial for a lot of people that have thoughts of suicide, is teaching those around them what they need. So if I have thoughts of suicide, I can tell you, all right, well, what I need from you is I just need you to listen. I need you to let me finish. I need you to not try and solve my problem. And I need you to not try and take over the responsibility for my life as though my life is now your responsibility. I just need you to be there for me. And, sometimes I just, maybe need you to be sad with me and allow me to be sad. So we can communicate our needs to somebody else. That helps them. That makes them feel better. And they will know what you need. So it's okay to talk about it. And if you're in a situation where it's not okay because of other people, it's absolutely okay to seek out a situation where you can talk about it. So the next piece that I'm going to talk about is that whatever you're going through, however bad it is, today is not forever. Whatever you're going through, it may take a long time to get through. But today is not forever. It feels like it. When the light at the end of the tunnel goes out, all we see is blackness. But there is still a light at the end of that tunnel somewhere. The tunnel still ends, no matter how long it is. So just keep in mind that however bad it is now, it's always possible to get better because the future is unwritten. Nobody can stop you from getting better. That's the power of the self. Even if I have thoughts of suicide today, and if I have thoughts of suicide tomorrow, I still have the power to get better. I still have the power to always figure myself out. That a tree is never too old to grow, and you are never too old to get better. You always have the possibility of improving yourself, just a little bit at a time. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Now, for a lot of people that sounds contradictory. Well, what do you mean? How can I be right both ways? Well, here's why. If I think I can't do it, if I know something is impossible or believe something is impossible, I'm either going to not start, in which case I've proven myself correct, I can't do it. Or I will try, but I won't give it my all. I might not give 100% of my strength, or I might not continue doing what I'm doing for long enough to get better. But either way, what will happen is I put in insufficient effort, and then I stop, and then I view that as proof that I can't. So again, I create the self-fulfilling prophecy. I prove myself right. Now, if I think I can do something, then I will get started on it. And however many times I get set back, I will say to myself, well, okay, I haven't got there yet. I haven't got there yet. I just need to do this. If you play video games, it's just like trying to beat a level. You know you can beat it. It's possible. You just keep working at it until you do. The same is true of anything in your life. Anything in your life can get better. If you lose a limb or an ability, getting better doesn't necessarily mean I'll get that ability back, but it means I can learn to live in a way that I'm still fulfilled. So if you think you can do something, then you will persevere until you succeed and then prove yourself right. So the important part here is the believing in yourself. That then controls the effort that you put in, and then that in turn predicts success or failure. So whether you think you can or you can't, you're always right. So next, I'm going to talk a little bit about deserving to get better. Sometimes we'll have this voice in the back of our heads, or sometimes it's up front saying, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to get better. Or I've earned this terribleness. Well, the truth is, you always deserve to get better. If you're watching this, you're a human being, and you deserve to get better because human beings have value. It's something that we're born with. We are born with value. Nobody gives it to us. Our society and people in general agree that human beings have value because they're human beings, because they exist. That's it. You don't need to be the nicest person in the world, or the smartest person in the world, or the richest, or the poorest, or the anythingest. You always deserve to get better. And going back to that piece I talked about earlier, nobody can stop you from getting better. Nobody can ever take away that you deserve to get better. They might say it, they might beat it into you metaphorically or even physically, but so what? They don't make that decision for you. They can't make that decision for you. You always deserve to get better. So the last thing I'm going to end with is crisis resources. After I'm done this little piece, I'll put a bunch of crisis resources up on the screen. Obviously, if you're seeing this outside of the area for the crisis resources, you can still actually call in. So crisis resources are open 24 hours, 7 days a week. They don't discriminate. against caller. So you can call in from outside the area and still talk to somebody. You can also call if you're within the area. You can also search for resources online. Another thing you can do, if you're having thoughts of suicide right now, you can always call 911. If you're afraid that you will actually complete suicide, you can always call 911. It is the appropriate thing to do, and you deserve to be saved. If you just want somebody to talk to, call one of the numbers on the screen, call a friend, or even just sleep on it. Just sleep on it. We always feel better after we sleep. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much. I hope this finds you well, and for those who aren't well, I hope this still finds you. Remember, you do deserve to get better. Nobody can stop you, and it's okay to talk about it. So thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.